health. And I guess here we come also to the macroscopic and microscopic view. We will see, but it's in biology and not in chemistry. So one part of the biology subject matter in school is about biological processes in the human body and health for future life. And it includes circulatory system, digestion, respiratory system, how to cure diseases, infection, importance of nutrients, and sleep. And in school, students are taught about organs, different organs and their names, but when they don't know how they are connected and to each other and how they function. Difficult. Okay, and if they are studying digestion, they don't know exactly. They are taught which organs are involved in digestion. This is showing just a simple body with all the important organs, which we use for teaching. But they just see the food going through the intestines and never inside the body. The nutrients never get into the body. That's the way people are discussing this, even on videos and so, TV programs. And they don't know really the purpose of why we eat. And another part of what students are learning is energy production in the cell. So they learn everything about the cell organelles, the names, and perhaps they also learn about energy production in the cell, but they don't really know how it's connected to, for instance, breathing. So these three areas are often taught isolated from each other, and the students will not understand how they are connected. So why are we eating? Why are we breathing? So one important, which is missing between these, which is connecting all these three different areas, is the circulatory system, the blood circulation, which connects all these parts together. But the blood circulation is never really understood by the students. That's what we see when they come to us, the pre-service teacher students. So, how could we develop a biology course where the student will understand these connections? So we were looking at research about creative learning and teaching. And this is, first is what do we want to develop in the course, which we wanted students to get a holistic view of body function and health. And we wanted to improve the understanding of interactions between different organ systems. We wanted also them to understand function from a macroscopic view down to microscopic view at the cellular level, and also what an illness, how to explain illness. So we were looking how would a successful teaching, how should it be explained by, it should be connect the students to experience and everyday life. They should have a connection between observation and theory. They should be inquiry-based and create engaged, collaborating students enjoying further explorations. So I would describe a biology course where we try to increase the knowledge and learning about function of the body and health. And the course was done for 4 weeks with 9 pre-service teacher students for primary schools. And the course started with teaching ecological processes, doing fieldwork, and studying different organisms' life cycle. At the end of the course, the teaching was about physiology and health. And they discussed, students were doing inquiries in this kind of we were sitting in the lab, and we have this kind of islands of tables where the students are sitting together and making these inquiries and discussions in groups supervised by the teacher. Yes, so in Stockholm area, we have an increased spreading of TBE and Borrelia infections, and health authorities encourage people to get vaccinating against TBE. And TBE and Borrelia are caused by ticks. And in Sweden, then we have, you should always, if you go out in the Stockholm area and you sit on the grass or go in the forest, even in the city, you can have ticks on your skin. So you have to take them out. You have to look every evening if you have ticks, because you have to remove them, then you have less risk to get infected by them. And we have research groups in our department where they are investigating in what environment ticks should like to be and how we can avoid to be infected by ticks, tick-borne diseases. So I had a help from a PhD students in this kind of research, and she was going out with the students, and we were capturing ticks, connecting then the earlier biology, the previous biology studies with ecological processes and organisms, and we were sweeping a white cloth with a mop and on the grass, and then you would see a lot of ticks, and you can pick them and take them to the lab. And in the lab, we were looking at the morphology and the life cycle of ticks, and we can find the different species of this life cycle and discuss them. So this is the way with this teaching. The short teaching was to do the capturing of ticks and then studying the morphology. And then we studied this illness and this caused by ticks, and how virus and bacteria could be, how you could use antibiotics against bacteria, for instance, or vaccine, and the defense system was connected to this kind of thing. And we also looked at a video clip which was made by Pfizer for the Swedish people to be aware of ticks and infection and getting vaccinated. So here you see, for instance, I took a picture from the video clip where you see the ticks when it's biting and then going through the skin and into the circulatory system. And here you see a bigger magnification of when here is the mouth, and then it's excreting. We can see the substance or the Borrelia into the vessels of blood. So yes, so after doing this work with one day, we did all this work with illness, defense systems, and ticks. We went over to functioning of the blood and circulatory system, which we already then connected to the ticks, which were biting and getting into the circulatory system, digestion then, and lung and respiratory systems, and the extraction of energy from nutrients in the cell, always talking about the blood, the circulatory system. So, yes, and after the course, the student, they were writing a reflection about a text of reflection where, what did you learn from the lesson on body function and health? What surprised you? And then they were supposed to write a lesson plan for body and health in primary school, year 4 to 6. So what area would they choose? Why did they choose this subject? And how will they perform the teaching? And then finally it was a written exam also, a normal written exam, but showing their understanding for all this more deeper understanding about this connection between digestion and circulatory system and breathing and so on. So, and what I have done is to make a short analysis of students' reflections. So I used the qualitative method, identifying and describing the learning processes and which themes the students regarded as important. So what we found was that 2/3 of the students described the importance of how organs are cooperating and connected to each other. And most students also mentioned the circulatory system and the respiratory system as important. And here you see what we really wanted them to do in this simple body was to understand that when you put the food in and then it goes into the, finally, a smaller piece into the circulatory system, which is here, and then also that the oxygen connect together with the nutrients to extract energy or to develop energy in from the nutrients in the mitochondria or in the cell. So here are some examples of students' reflection, and it was about what they learned. So we got some from health, about health. When I was studying ticks and how they infect, for the first time I understood the difference between virus and bacteria. And another one said, I learned that ticks as vectors for Borrelia and TBE are not only bad for, but necessary for the ecosystem. So they got, here we think that they got a more holistic view anyway of the things. And about organ system, I learned that the gut melts the food with the help of enzymes, and that it is when it has become small enough that it can be absorbed through the intestinal wall, that it really is in the body. I think it's important to emphasize how important the role of the lung is to the blood, and that all organs of the body work together. I learned the importance of seeing the whole as I talk about, and I studied the various functions of the body. Without the whole, I have a hard time understanding and remembering, because there are many parts to remember. If you focus on the whole and learn the connections, this can act as a tool for understanding. And the last example is cell function. All life on Earth is reminiscent of one another. Plants and animals have cells, although they differ slightly. All life on Earth needs energy. Our primary source of energy is the sun. Everything living on Earth belongs together and shares energy and nutrition. So the conclusion also, what we found is that they had much better results on the written exams than before, which I've done before. And we also think that using students' own experience of tics indicate improved learning about body function and health. And of course, more studies have to be done. I have to have new students, and probably we can go also to the campus and do this. Linking studies on ecological systems and life cycles of organisms to health, bodily function, and energy production enhance contextual understanding. That's what we believe, and that's all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Really interesting indeed, and it's always a pleasure hearing more about your work. So I'll just open actually the floor here for any questions. As always, you can either turn your microphone and ask, or just type that question in the chat box here. Any questions?
Hi, Anne, that was really interesting. I also work with pre-service teachers. And do you have any plans to follow this group of students longitudinally?
The same students, or
yes.
The same students, they just have, that's the short course they have about biology, and they will teach biology in primary school 4 to 6, year 4 to 6, We just have 4 weeks, and then I also do 4 weeks of chemistry. Then they have technology and physics.
Future to you know, see later on if this impacts what they're doing. And
the interest would be to go out when they are finished. They will be finished in a year, and to see how they are teaching this kind of these subjects in the school. That would be the most interesting thing.
Yeah, for sure.
But also to look afterwards. But they're doing so many subjects. I think they will, when they really have to go out in the schools, or when they are doing their practical work, then also to go out in the school and see how they teach a subject.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are less traditional.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good. And I suppose it's always, if you like, a challenge to measure, if you like, long-term impact, if you like, of such programs. So
Yes.
different ways to do that, but I suppose, you know, how much you can do within the project, and with the timelines usually being a little tight. And I guess, thanks. Any other questions from the audience here, perhaps? Nope. Right. Thank you, Anne.
Okay, thank you.
We should move to our last presenter for this session, who is Peter Lambert. Peter works both as a teacher